With the fear that folks in the Suffolk County hamlet of Brentwood are living with all the time now. This after two teens were brutally murdered, and then skeletal remains of two other homicide victims, also teens, were found dumped nearby. Police say they believe gangs are likely responsible in a community that has long been plagued by gang activity. TV 1055 Sonia Rincon has our story.
She didn't deserve this. Neither one of them deserved this.
The grieving grandfather of Nisa Mickens left a flower at the spot where her body was found, a memorial that began with a basketball that she wanted for her 16th birthday yesterday. She died Tuesday night along with her best friend, Kyla Cuevas, whose body was discovered a day later in what police are now certain was an act of gang violence.
These people don't realize what they're taking away from us. I'm supposed to walk my daughter down an aisle one day. They took that away.
In announcing a $5,000 reward for information leading to an arrest, Suffolk County Police Commissioner Timothy Sini said his detectives are working with federal partners to find out who knows what.
We've made a strategic subject list of known gang members in the area, and we're going to be enhancing our presence here to target those individuals.
He wouldn't comment on what might have led to the murders, but did say there is very little doubt that gangs were involved.
The nature of the injuries is an example, and I'll leave it at that.
Injuries that include cut wounds. He says both girls died of blunt force trauma. Neighbors here in Brentwood say this tragedy needs to be a wake-up call to crack down on the gang violence.
People are afraid of just leaving their homes. Unfortunately, it's escalating instead of going down, and because of that is people just are kind of adjusting their lives to that violence instead of doing something about it.
They took over our streets. The police department needs to step back in and take their streets back, not let these gang members take over their streets.
Now, we did ask the police commissioner what, if any, involvement these girls may have had in any gang activity. He said he couldn't get into that part of the investigation or whether or not the people who might be responsible for this crime are as young as they are. He did say that kids in communities like Brentwood are being recruited into gangs at a very young age and that gang prevention efforts start as early as the 3rd grade. In Brentwood, Long Island, Sonia Rincon, TV 1055.
And again, in the last week, skeletal remains of two other victims found nearby at the desolate site of the Pilgrim Psychiatric Center are now leading to fears that that could be a gang burial site. Joining us are two members of the community that's so affected by this horrific violence. They are Ray Mayo and Erica Boynton, both with the Brentwood Association of Concerned Citizens, and welcome to our show.
Thank you.
I can see just from your faces how you feel, but first off, describe what it's been like this last week in your community.
A nightmare.
That pretty well describes it. 2 words sums it up, doesn't it, Ray?
Yeah, it's been a very bad nightmare for the residents and community of Brentwood.
What do you think needs to be done?
Well, we need more policing done, right? This wasn't done on school grounds, so we need more policing done for patrols in certain areas where there are large gatherings that shouldn't be there, right? So we need to limit that. And the gangs need to know that the police are out there in full force to protect the residents of Brentwood. Yeah,
because you go over to the schools, and boy, that's well protected. So I think anybody looking to do harm knows they're going to have a serious force against them. But kids are not even going to school, Erica, because they're afraid just to walk to school.
Yes, they are. Afraid to catch their buses, afraid to step outside the doors because they think they're going to be next.
That's no way to live.
No.
There's not. My wife and I have been picking up, taking my daughter and some of her friends to school back and forth. But we also need the residents and the people of Brentwood and Central Islip and Bay Shore to speak up when they see some things going on and see things going wrong. So that's a large part of it. The police can't do everything because they're not everywhere all the time.
Erica, how likely is it that citizens are going to speak up? They're all petrified.
They're all petrified, and I understand that they're petrified and afraid. I used to be the same way, but as a mother, coming from a mother that lost her child due to the gang in the streets and everything, I feel they, regardless if you don't speak up, they're still going to come after you, target the kids and everything, pick with the kids, try to make them come and join in and everything. But they're still going to target these kids, regardless of what.
You say you lost someone to gangs in your family?
Yes, I lost my son at 15 years old. And
that's actually how we met.
That's how we met.
And I don't ever want anyone to go through that again.
What happened to your son?
He was at a gathering at his best friend's house, and somehow MS-13 wanted, it was, they had to take somebody out. It was an initiation for them to get into the gang, and They did the activity, and my son was hit.
They killed your son?
Yes.
Well, I'm so terribly sorry. I did not know that at all. So this really hits home for you, seeing what's happened to these two families.
Yes, and regardless of what, these are our babies. Like, who gives you the right to take these kids' lives like this? Like, come on.
It's not even right to use the word initiation in something like that. You're talking about murdering people and killing them, taking their lives.
Yes, exactly.
That's correct.
Well, you know, we see the police, you know, they obviously have tried to respond to this. They flooded that area searching for victims over at the Pilgrim Psychiatric Center. You know, they stepped up patrols. You have the Suffolk County Police Commissioner, Timothy Sinney, saying he's going to decimate the gangs, even use the federal RICO statute. Do you believe it, though?
Yes, I truly believe that they've, you know, they have plans and they're stepping up the process to capture and remove gangs from Brentwood as a whole. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort from the community again as well, but it can be done. I strongly believe that.
How big a presence are gangs in Brentwood, Erica?
To tell you the truth, big. Big.
Well, I know, as a reporter, I've gone into the community, and it's not just Brentwood. There are plenty of communities that have gangs.
It's all over.
Central Islip, other towns. And I've had people just, like, mock me, you know, saying, what are you doing here, threaten me.
Yeah.
Say, get out of our, you know, this is our town. That's in broad daylight. You know, and I'm a member of the media, which you would think maybe a little bit afraid to talk to somebody in our position. But, hey, you know, I could pick up the fear myself just from being in those situations.
Well, part of this concern with the media is, to be quite frank and honest with you,
Go right ahead.
We would appreciate if some of the media came in for some of our good events that we host, right? For our movie nights, and Clean Streets Committee has a clean event every year. It would be nice if the media came out and covered some of that, but the bottom line is they don't, because it doesn't make the news.
Well, it's true that terrible crimes make headlines. We do try to cover other events. I'm sure I've missed things that we should have. You keep us posted and we'll do our best. Is it primarily MS-13 that we're talking about here in Brentwood?
They're very big out. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. They're very big out here.
Yeah, and you know, the gangs are, you know, there's ethnicity involved. Sometimes it's Spanish against black, but it can be Spanish against Spanish, black against black. It's really hard to tell who's on whose side.
Exactly.
Well, the police department has a database and the knowledge of a lot of the heads of these organizations and, you know, where they reside at. So, yes, there is a large presence of MS-13 in the Brentwood area.
You know, I asked the police commissioner yesterday at a news conference updating this terrible situation. You know, they had made an extreme effort, a very large effort, to do what they call gang diversion, to try to find people who are in gangs that maybe there's still hope for and divert them away from that. And now they're talking about decimating them. And I asked him, is there going to be some change now, or is gang diversion over? Do you think they should still continue that effort? What do you think about that?
There was a meeting Tuesday night that the school board put together, and they were there. Simmony and the police brass from the 3rd Precinct were there, and they did make this statement. But we need collaborative efforts, right? There are programs out there to help kids stay focused on other avenues than the gang route, right? But as parents and children have to move forward towards those avenues to make things happen.
Do you know if anything's being done to help the families of the victims?
You can speak better than that.
I'm not
from the police perspective?
From the community's perspective, they're probably coming together to support them, I'm sure.
Yes.
Well, that's good to hear. At least there's some sense of solidarity here, that the community is not going to back down. People do need to have courage, stand up and try to stand against these gangs that are preying on folks in the community. We appreciate your coming on this show. Ray Mayo, Erica Boynton from the Brentwood Concerned Citizens Association. We're not going to go away on this story. We'll be following it as best we can.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.